remember we played that show with Super Chunk at Penn State, and I did that big kick and went tumbling back through the amps.
Yeah, that was great.
You should
So
see
you were there and all of a sudden you were going.
this is real slippery floor, and we were doing it. It was called Superboard at the time. I did a big kick as high as I could, and I was pretty fucking proud. Went flying backwards through the amps, man. Amps flew over on me and shit. It was Super Chunk's amps. They were asking me if I was. They were helping me up. It took me a long time to get up, man. Remember, I kept singing though.
Yeah, you kept singing.
When you fall, you got to keep. You lay there for a while, and you keep singing. And you keep doing the song on your back for a while, and then you flip up.
Yeah.
Then you do a roll. You roll up.
Yeah.
Backward roll.
Almost 10 years, nearly as many albums. So how come you guys didn't do what most people probably would have expected you to do, which is like pack up the tents and go home?
Because when we started, and I'm Bob, do we have to
say
Bob.
When we started, we did it just for ourselves. We didn't even want anyone to hear it, or know about it, because it was just our own thing,
You mean it was that much of a hobby?
Yeah, and then, and eventually we got enough confidence where we wanted to take it out into local clubs and play, and they didn't get it, they didn't like it. So we went back in our shell and...
So why didn't they like it? Because it was too weird?
Too weird for Dayton, where we came from at the time. It was a little too weird. Well, it actually wasn't too weird, because Dayton was kind of weird. There were some strange bands like Toxic Reasons and Dementia Precox or whatever, just these strange kind of chrome-type bands,
Oh, yeah.
Toxic Reasons was kind of thrash band, but there were some really strange industrial kind of bands. And so we played kind of a psychedelic garage pop kind of thing, and they didn't like it.
Watch me jumpstart. Jumpstart.
Jumpstart.
Watch me jumpstart as the old skin is peeled.
See an opening and bust onto the field.
Hidden longings no longer concealed.
Watch me bulldoze.
Every bulldozer away. Each new obstacle to make sure the new day.
Where it's going, it's hard for me to say.
Back in high school, there was maybe 4 or 5 people that wanted to be in a band, but no one knew how to play an instrument. So in art class, we'd sit there and make album covers and the credits, and I'd have the lyrics, and we'd have everything but music, We even made T-shirts for our band. Walked around, people go like, "You guys got a band?" Yeah, we got a band. And no one could play anything. So it started out as like kind of a fantasy,
First name?
Toby.
Mitch.
Kevin.
I play guitar.
Guitar.
Drums.
I worked in the sandpaper factory.
I was an illustrator.
Mental health. Tech.
I'm 39.
36.
30-something.
I taught for 14 years and stuff, so I had to be in both worlds. I still was a kid. See, I taught 4th grade, so I was still a kid, kind of, to teach
Sorry,
people.
how old is 4th grade? Because I don't...
10 years old. So I was 10, so I'm 10 years old. When you teach 10-year-olds for 14 years, you are 10 years old.
It's almost as if, you reach a certain age and people think that you need to let go of your dreams, and I just never really paid attention to that. I continued doing what I enjoyed doing.
I had a little plastic close and play record player, and I used to go to a store and buy little 45 7-inch records. And one day I brought I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Stones, and I brought it home and I started playing it. And I must have played it 50 times in a row. And this particular day I was playing it, my grandmother was there, and I put it on and was playing it, and about halfway through the song, my grandmother comes in and snatches the record off the thing and threw it down and broke it, and she just was irate, and she couldn't believe that I'd be listening to something like that. And I was watching her reaction, watching what she was doing, and I wasn't really mad or hurt or pissed. I just thought, wow, I'd like to be able to do something to cause that type of reaction.
Wished I was a giant, said man, get off the street. Spoken like a traffic cop, cronies at his feet.
But we're getting ready to head up into Vandalia, which I call evil Vandalia. The cops are so bad in Vandalia. I mean, just, you know how bad the cops are?
No.
Oh,
This
man.
is a bad strip, just
Oh,
driving.
yeah, this is bad strip anyway, but
Sober.
man, they'll bust you. They'll bust you up here. I got a speeding ticket one time up here for going maybe 8 miles of the speed limit. The next day I was going to pay it, and I was going kind of slow looking for the place. And the same guy pulled me over for going too slow and holding up traffic. He let me off of that one day. He laughed and let me off.
These are drive-throughs. We have a lot of them in Northridge. We have good specials too in here. Look at all the beer signs, look cool too. It's a candy store for adults.
Hi. Take a 6-pack Bud Light bottle.
Living in Dayton, I think, has forced us to be more creative, because there's not that many creative people that live here, and that's really what we want. We strive to be a little bit different, you know, to come up with something new and interesting. And in bigger towns, I think it's a little more difficult to do that. In Dayton, it's a little easier, because anything you do is new.
Got the tip of it. I think it'll still be good. Yeah, I like it.
We really like to do things ourselves, from recording to album covers, and I just carried over to t-shirts. I want everything to be slightly different. So there's a signature on it. I was just sitting there practicing one day, and they got done with the song, man, and I was clapping again, you know, yeah. And Paul goes, you know, turned around to the band and he goes, hey, you want to be our manager? And I made sure. I said, now, it's for life.
The British accent was me. That's how I learned how to sing. I learned to sing with British stuff, you know, the first British wave when I was a little kid, and that's how I learned to sing. So that's how I do my best singing, you know. If I try another way, it sounds too hick or something to me, you know.
He used to come in and ask for what we thought was really weird stuff. We thought we were on top of things, and he'd come in and ask for bands that we didn't have a clue about.
I started collecting records when my dad got in the Columbia House Record Club or whatever, and you get like 12 albums for a penny. And I chose stuff like Moby Grape and King Crimson and stuff I didn't even know what it was, based on like names and covers, cool looking covers and names of bands, you know.
I thought it said Motor Pranks at first. So that's the title, Motor Pranks.
Yeah.
I thought it said Motor Pranks, so I misinterpreted that. So now I've got two titles today.
What's the other one?
To Live and Die in LA Lounge and Motor Pranks.
Guided by Voices in studio, morning becomes eclectic on KCRW. I heard once, Bob, that while sitting on the pot, you can write 5 songs. Is that true?
And 3 of them are good.
Yeah. I mean, where are they coming from?
I'm guided by voices, hey. I don't know.
It's like I took 12 pictures of little groups of guys from my yearbook that looked like bands, you know, and then cut them out and gave them names, you know. Like I forget some of the names. Rick and Wiki, King Shit, and the Golden Boys, and then I gave them a song too. They each had a song, and so I looked at it and I was inspired by just looking at it. I'd like to hear that song by that band. It inspired me to write like Gold Star for Robot Boy, I'm a Scientist, a lot of stuff. My Bad with Honey Knife. How many songs do you think I've written? 5,000 probably.
Yeah, at least.
Since the time I was a kid, I've probably written 5,000 songs.
It's funny how sometimes, you know, we remember a lot of the, you know, funny songs that he wrote when he was younger, and every now and then, every now and then, one will pop in one of our heads, and hey, do you remember this? You know, and it's like,
what was one we said the other day?
Corn Country.
Corn Country. There was that one I did yesterday though. Oh, this morning, flamboyant careers and alcoholism.
Oh, yeah.
There's some food upon the table, boys.
Look at Mitch's house. This is Mitch's house. Look. Flags all over the windows because he's patriotic.
Next to the fucking blizzard or fucking whatever.
And you are free to take me downstairs, away from cares. I'll be with you in the morning, boys, 'cause you know that if we wait for our time, we'll all be
You've got your main living quarters upstairs, and then you've got your basement, and that's your own little haven, you know, your space, where you can put up rock posters, spill a beer, don't clean it up. It just feels good down there.
The sound you can get in the basement is just amazing because it's natural reverb and a lot of really super hard surfaces.
song up though. You recording?
All emotions are flying.
That's better.
Systems crash the universe. All the systems are dying. Are you watching us watch you? Are you looking for advantages out of the blue?
Okay, start. Let me hear the beginning, the first two lines.
Systems crash. Systems crash. Systems crash the universe. Are you looking for advantages out of the blue?
Okay, stop.
Systems crash the universe. All emotions are
You got that pan slightly to the right?
Yeah, and that's a little left.
Okay. And this is the high end on shit?
Yeah, that's your vocal right here.
Okay, this is nothing up here?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, go ahead and learn. I want to make sure we don't lose what it feels like. I hope we can still get that same and bring the vocals up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think it sounds good. There aren't too many people that understand, that own studios and get in there and engineer, that understand what we want. And I don't know enough about it to go. And a lot of people, we go in there and say, well, we want this and we want that, and we do things, and they go, no, you can't do it that way. It just can't be done that way.
That's normal.
And so we didn't know any better.
I guess it was a couple, 3 months back, we had George Martin in here talking about, Sgt. Pepper being made on a 4-track recorder.
No, you're kidding. You didn't have George. Are you serious? You're lying.
I promise you, I would not kid you about something like that. When we talked about how that was 4-track, the White Album was 8 tracks. The more tracks they got, the less necessity for creativity there was.
And the revelation for us was that we were able finally to achieve a really warm, good vocal sound. And it was, for the first time, to the 4-track, something we never could accomplish in a big studio.
Panama, you know what that is? It's a palindrome. Is that what it's called, a palindrome? It's like words or a phrase that spelled the same backwards as it is forward.
His mind is not linear. It does not work that way. It doesn't go from point A to point B. It goes from point A to point Pluto.
He's put an album together. I say, don't change a thing. This album's perfect the way it is. Don't take anything off, don't put anything on. It's perfect. 2 weeks later, it's got a different title. Half the songs are gone. There's new songs on there. They're rearranged, and I listen to it. I'm like, God, that's 10 times better.
We pretty much just abandoned playing out and spent the time recording on 4-track and pretty much all 4-track and boombox.
We just quit playing. We said this is more fun than playing live, so we just did like 6 albums on our own we never played a show during that whole time.
And then Propeller, which was kind of meant to be like the last ditch. I'll throw on all my masterpiece songs on this one and see, and that's it. That's the end of this band. And that was the one that was done in a limited edition of 500, and all the covers were handmade.
Number 376 out of 500. A series of 20 with, all different places. He's got profiles and stuff. The U, Jimmy's idea, the alphabet. There's somebody that has G in the B and the V. But see that thing right there? That's what we were drinking that night. And that one was right in between my feet. We were looking for something for the album cover. Bob saw it and had to paste it on there. So that's his. That's a great one.
All these records, and they sat in his basement. You know, he would never send them out. He was afraid. He always says, you know, if he ever got a bad review, it would have killed him. Then, you know, so like he just couldn't even send it to anyone. With some later records, I remember people had to mail them out, kind of like without telling them, like to magazines and things like that.
We basically split them up, and I sent out maybe 20 to 30 to like magazines and labels and stuff. Just kind of okay, here we go, and they were all different. So when people opened them up, they had to go, what the?
Never saw halos, films of the flag. Rifle games for 7-year-olds, that's a drag. Yeah, now that's a drag. This is not a vacation. There is nowhere to go. It's Africa of a nation. Weapons go 90. You won't find me. Never saw halos come to the flag. Rifle games for 7-year-olds and a man. But don't you worry, I promise that I'll join your canary court, put in your slot. Say now what have you got? Oftentimes I'm reminded of the sweet young days. Full punch for the franchise, and thus was united. Got so excited. Let's go 90 on with the show. Could you see that? How didn't you know? Yeah, how didn't you know?
Come here, buddy.
Well, Dayton's been called like a microcosm of the whole country, being the crossroads of America. As a matter of fact, the crossroads of America is right over there, by that red sign.
First light of day. It's just blows me away.
And there's where I grew up. There's the basket Big Jim Pollard used to light up. See, we used to see how far out we could shoot. You know, that's how we got our big long jump shots, which is a trademark in the family, you know. My son's now throwing them up from 30 feet. Yeah, they still live there. My parents still live there. They did not like that period of time. That the first 10 years in the life of God Above Voices, they did not support that. They didn't support that. They thought it was irresponsible and they needed to quit doing that.
Family members thought that maybe I should have given it up, maybe that I was hanging in there a little too long. I should get on with my life and let this rock and roll fantasy go.
Slay the beast and win the cup and stay with the sweet flesh prize. A necklace of 50 eyes is yours to keep.
If Dayton doesn't like it, how is New York going to like it? You know, that's what we thought. And if they don't like it here, now we would completely embarrass ourselves if we went to like Cleveland or New York. So we just didn't do it. We did it for ourselves.
It was only after he was like completely cajoled to play a showcase at New Music Seminar in New York, you know, in utter terror, and went there and was like incredibly enthusiastically received that he realized that just because they don't like you in Dayton doesn't mean they're not going to love you in someplace where they know more about music.
We came out with My Impression Now, remember that? Yeah. I was really nervous and I didn't really look at anybody, but we were jumping around and we were having a good time. Then people were getting into it, and I didn't want to say anything because I saw all these New Yorkers checking me out, man, which I was always petrified. That was my big fear, man, to go to New York and there they are looking at me. And so I just, like, between songs, like, I announced the song and just 1, 2, 3 real fast, and we banged out like 18 songs and then we got out of there.
song. She told me liquor, I am a new man. Hot freaks. This one is on the house, and this one is better than ever. I walked into the house in miraculous recovery and stood before King Everything, and he asked me to join him in the Red Wing. Took me to Pyland, said, I am a thigh man. I will be eternally hateful. Hot freaks! Hot freaks!
And finally, good news for bands that just can't seem to get a break. A group in Dayton, Ohio called Guided by Voices has been making unusual records on its own now for a dozen years, and all the band had to show for its efforts was a cult following. That cult included such fellow musicians as the Breeders, however, and it's been growing. Now Guided by Voices is the most chattered about underground band in the country.
We get to this club in Austin, and there's another band on the bill.
Did you hear that band, the first band? Were you in there? You didn't hear them? Yeah, they were getting on us pretty hard between every song.
What did we say on stage? Guided by retards. guided by a lot of prima donnas. I don't know. We've been on tour for a month. We're tired. We're pissed off. We get here. We're excited about the show, and we get dissed. So we're like, what the fuck? So we talk a little bit of shit, which is all fine to us. We talk shit every fucking night of our shows.
So I lost. I said, you suck. I started yelling, they suck. You know,
Yeah.
get off stage, and I'd kind of walk.
And
They kicked us, and then they kicked us out.
And then they kicked us out. It's just shitty people like that give industry people a bad name, you know? It's too true. And shitty industry people give industry a bad name, but fuck, who cares, you know? I just won't deal with anybody on that level, you know? Maybe James Brown or Johnny Cash, but...
You guys aren't going to play tonight? No, we're not going to play. We got kicked out. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. If you can come to Dallas, we're playing in Dallas tomorrow. I'll put you on a guest list if you want me to come. That'd be great. Yeah, I'd like that a lot. Give me your name. I'll put you on a guest list.
Look at Seaside Birds. Well, c'est la vie, right? Rock and roll.
Yes, we must find his heart desire. Stand erected, not to take the anything that we could not admire. From a long line of iron, number one is that the one to send. To restore all the trial, this and then the national pride, oh proud. A question to the lunatic is your
Bob doesn't even like to leave Dayton. You can tell. He's just like, he gets nervous. If he spends too much time outside of Dayton, he's got to get back.
After about 2 weeks, I'm ready to come home. I can't stay out very long. I get homesick. I want to see my family. I want to see my drinking buddies and all those guys, you know. I want to go hang out somewhere.
softness from his hand and yes, we must define his high desire.
Yeah, everybody this way. Just keep it like that. That's it. Just there. Good. And just slightly higher, Robert, if you can. Yeah.
Sometimes I think that someone's going to come along and take it all away from me. Personally, I've given up my day job and pretty much poured myself into this. And so it's no longer just a hobby. It's like now it's for real. It's the real thing, and it's scary to think that maybe it could go away.
Okay, just glancing this way. Keep like
All the
that.
first stuff, it went through our hands to get to them. And then when somebody had your album and you met them, it was just like, hey, okay, I touched your piece of bologna that you put on your sandwich, kind of, Now it's like, it's in some factory, and we don't even know the people sending them out.
Success has nothing to do with security or money. It's got something to do with put on a record that I'm happy with. It's a selfish thing. It's just for me. If a record sounds good and I think it's good, that's successful.
Sounds like the Beatles.
It is very Beatlesque. Some people don't like it. I love the Beatles, man. Before we toured, I was sitting at the table doing this thing that I've done all my life, making album covers, and putting collages together and writing lyrics and things. Like alarm popped in my head, like, okay, it's time to put this away. It's ready to get ready for whatever. And I realized, I don't have to get ready for anything. This is what I do now. This is my job.
That's what's it's still hard to sometimes grasp, but this is real now. We're a real band. We're actually a real band, man.
This is a tale of southwestern Ohio. You should come and see us sometime. You should come and see us sometime and hang out in our bar with us. Eat some Hoagie's pizza and drink quarts of beer. And we're all happy to be here. I woke up one morning, saw a rooster strutting by my house. 6-pack rings round his neck, cock of the block, don't stop now, don't stop now. Mitch Mitchell, ladies and gentlemen. Second verse. What keeps Big Daddy happy? What makes the buzzer buzz? A leaky cord of motor